Barefoot or minimalist shoes have finally made it mainstream. I recently got married and the amount of options I had for barefoot dress shoes was almost overwhelming and kind of proves the point. They're everywhere. Even my mom has a pair. By the way, shout out to Lems, who I ended up going with for my wedding and happens to be the sponsor of this video. More on that in a bit. But the risk is, just like when anything hits pop culture, it can become something it's not, and the message gets watered down or completely lost. And the unfortunate truth is, barefoot shoes won't fix your feet, but they can help. Let's talk about how to get the most out of the idea of barefoot, whether you're in shoes or not. You probably know by now that the soft soles of conventional shoes allow the feet to relax, meaning you're never challenging the muscles of your feet. Big problem for the rest of your body because your feet are literally your connection to the ground. But there's more to the picture than just buying some fancy barefoot shoes and then wearing them to the gym or work. Sure, it's a step in the right direction, but simply walking around on flat surfaces all day is not going to bulletproof your feet in the way you hope. You've got to actually find ways to challenge your feet to make them adapt. The first step is regaining the strength and stability of your feet. And the best bang for your buck here is working on balance. Balance training works the muscles of the feet, toes, and ankles by training them to become more reactive, pushing against the ground rather than sinking in. Basically, can your feet resist different forces to maintain balance and stability? To work on the strength and stability of your arches, work on balancing on one foot without using your toes. Many people overuse the toes for stability. The toes should be a last resort, not a first resort. Once you get good at this, try looking up at the sky or closing your eyes to make this more challenging. Woo! Like that. And the process here is pretty simple. Just go until you feel your feet or your shins get pretty tired. Now we also want the toes to be strong and reactive as well. So work on standing on your tippy toes. And if that gets easy, you can work on shifting over to one foot. You can work on going into a crouched position, staying down here, or moving in and out, keeping those heels off the ground. Or if you want to get really advanced, you can try combining the two. Once you've got these two categories feeling pretty good, the next step is to try balancing on more challenging surfaces. My go-to is always a rail or parallel. Start with going parallel to the bar. One foot is the easiest, 2 feet is a little more challenging, and then you can even work on crouching down and standing up. More challenging is going perpendicular to the bar because you're only contacting with the ball of the foot. Here, 2 feet is the easiest, moving down to crouch position, standing up, and then even trying, whoop, Jesus, haven't done this in a while. And even the most challenging, standing on one foot. The nice thing is, these are all things that don't require a ton of energy. You can do them in the evening while you're watching TV or just hanging out with the family. Any of the exercises in this video should either be done barefoot or in minimalist shoes. And if you're looking for the right minimalist shoe, my go-to is always Lems. They're the sponsor of this video and honestly the easiest sponsor I've ever plugged. I've had this pair of boulder boots for about 5 years and I wear them on nearly a daily basis. They're the first minimalist shoe that I can honestly say looks as good as they feel. Their Primal 2 was my favorite shoe ever. I literally did everything in them. I did parkour, I worked out, I climbed mountains, and just hung out. Now they have their Primal 3. I haven't actually tried them yet, but I'm excited to get these out on the mountain. Now I love Lems because they're all zero drop with a wide toe box. They're very comfortable with good ground feel, but you don't have to break the bank to get a good looking shoe that's still gonna help you create healthier feet. Now, most companies are handing out coupon codes like hotcakes, but Lems doesn't do them very often. Trust me, I keep an eye out for them. They are a quickly growing small business that is doing incredible work and their shoes are worth every penny. We're stoked to have worked out a deal with Lems to get our audience a coupon code for 15% off. And you'll find that coupon code in the first link in the description box. Go check it out.
You've actually owned this for 5 years?
Yeah, dude, seriously. I've worn them so much and they're still even like waterproof. It's pretty crazy, yeah. Now we don't just want the feet to be strong cement blocks. They're also supposed to be able to function like springs. This springiness is a combination of the muscles themselves, but also the connective tissues surrounding the feet and ankles, like the Achilles or the various arches of the foot. This is where running or jump roping comes in. The immediate loading of the spring by landing on the ball of the foot, never letting the heel touch the ground and then springing back out can have tremendous payout for the overall strength and structure of the muscles and connective tissues. So incorporating some jogging, sprinting, and or jump roping a few times a week is well worth the time. Just be careful with the dose here. The connective tissues can take much longer to adapt than the muscles. This is why you hear stories of people buying barefoot shoes and then destroying their feet by going out and doing something crazy like hiking the John Muir Trail. One of my buddies literally did this and is still recovering to this day. So start with less than you'd think, especially if you're new to barefoot training. Connective tissues can take 3 to 6 months to start reshaping once you begin training. So take your time. The feet also need to be supple and pliable to become fully bulletproof. Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy, has been a huge influence on getting people to work on their ankle dorsiflexion. Your knees should be able to move far past your toes. But the conversation doesn't end there. Your feet should have 360 degrees of flexibility. And if you don't, the knees will pay for it. Think about it. If the foot isn't flexible enough to move into a certain position, then the whole body has to move around that inflexibility, and the knees take the brunt. There are some really basic activities to start working on this.
Foot ringing is a great place to start. You put your fingers in between your toes, and as your toes get more flexible from wearing barefoot shoes, this will get easier. You stick them between, and then you grab your foot and rotate it around, trying to get all of these angles that your foot can move through. My go-to is always knee circles. I do these every day. Put your hands on your knees and then do small circles, taking your foot through all the different ranges of motion, inversion and eversion. Make sure to do both directions. For the flexibility into pointing your toes, simply sit in seiza, where you try to sit down on the tops of your heels. And of course, something we should be doing every day, sitting in a deep squat, getting that good dorsiflexion of the ankles.
But my honest opinion is you don't need a ton of specific training for this. You just need to make sure you're walking around on varied surfaces as often as you can. It's as simple as going hiking in natural places in barefoot shoes or barefoot, and you'll get plenty of stimulus to make your feet more pliable. Now, as much as I love Lems, there are some really important benefits to getting the barefoot shoes off and walking around and spending time getting your feet on the actual ground. Your feet have the highest density of nerve endings in your body, aside from some notable pleasure centers. This means we're meant to be getting constant input and feedback from our feet. And some research suggests that just being barefoot more often can have direct benefits on your overall well-being. But for most of us who have spent our entire lives in shoes, this can be very uncomfortable, even on the flattest of surfaces, let alone going hiking. Just like our muscles, our skin has atrophied as well. So building up some tolerance by going for a walk or training barefoot can actually make being barefoot easier, allowing you to spend more time barefoot, making you happier and healthier. Pretty easy sell. So the takeaway here is spend some time actually training your feet rather than just buying some barefoot shoes and thinking they'll do the work for you. But it doesn't take much. Work on your balance directly and often. Go for a jog, do some sprints or jump rope a few times a week, and get on varied surfaces as often as you can. The nice thing is all of these overlap with goals that most of us have for ourselves already. Become more athletic, conditioned, coordinated, feeling good, and getting outside more. Barefoot is a lifestyle, not just a trend. Be sure to check out Lems, and if you're gonna buy some, use the discount code, link in the description, and we'll see you in the next video.